Thanks for tuning into the Fattz Media Pack podcast. This is Seymour. I'm still getting things together. I know it's crazy. I have I'm very, very happy for the people listening to this podcast because received 30 downloads of the last podcast, which is huge. Only been putting this podcast out for a week. First week stumbling, still stumbling now, but this is episode number 6, and we're getting things going. And sorry, 6 or 7. Look, I don't even know what episode I'm in right now. I'm so confused. No, it's episode 6. I'm on episode 6, and 30 downloads of the last episode is insane. Really appreciate it. So in this episode, I'm going to talk about representation. So what does that mean? Talking about how do you present yourself? First impressions are very important as a content creator, as a podcaster, as an artist, music artist. So if you're a music artist, if you have a podcast, when you pick your name, or if you know your name, make sure that it's available, okay? So you make sure that it's available on all social media platforms. So this is going to be about social media and presenting yourself. So you're going to make sure your name is available on all platforms, okay? That is very, very important. After you get everything locked down, make sure everything's in tune to your liking and reflecting you. You have to make sure that it reflects you. Then you have to make sure that you tie that all into a Gmail account. Connect that all to a Gmail account that you created specifically for this for your business, for you, for your content, for your music, for all of that stuff. Okay, so you do that, and then you set up everything under that. Okay, so set up all the platforms under that. Now, the last episode I told you how to put out content and make money from it. So how to build a fan base, a loyal fan base, so that they don't just listen to your song and keep moving. So you don't. The reason why I made that episode was how to do it without money, is to show you that you do not need money to put content out to get people to listen. So I mean, I've only been doing this for a week. I already got 30 downloads on the last podcast. Now, when something is for free, of course people are going to give it a shot. That doesn't mean all 30 people listen to the podcast. They didn't listen to the whole thing. Some people might have only listened to a few minutes, but then some people heard the whole thing and they're like, hey, I'm getting free game in this podcast. It's not costing me anything. While I'm driving from here to the store, I'm learning something new, and I'm going to use that to grow my platform, grow my business. When I say business, I mean yourself. You're a business. All right, grow as an artist. Yeah, I mean, you want to stay in tune with your artistry, and you want to just put your stuff out there, but you need to learn the business. The reason why you hear so many horror stories about these these major artists signing these deals and they're making no money is because they're not learning the business side of it. And maybe you're not into money. That's fine. You don't have to be into money. You don't have to be in a numbers guy. You don't need to be great at math, but you do need to know. You do need to know how these business how this business works, and how to maneuver around it to make sure you're getting the best deal possible. You can't solely trust on people you hire. They're there to get a cut of your money for doing very minimal work. Some of them are doing a lot of work. Not all of them are doing minimal, but they can only do what they can do. And if you're lucky, you hire the right person and really has your back, then maybe you'll be able to sideswipe a few landmines, be able to skip those. But you could always learn. You could always learn more. Always be learning. Always be making content. I always tell artists, make music every day, write every day, try to write every day, work that muscle. And then if you can't get into the studio every day, if you don't have a studio in your house, try to get a studio as much as possible, because one song is not going to do it. One song is not going to do it. You're going to have to put out music every week. You're going to have to build your own series where you say, oh, I'm going to drop music every day for 30 days. So I'm going to drop music every week for a year. You got to come up with your own thing, and then you got to focus and build up to it. You got to build anticipation for the marathon that you want to create. And then you have to have content to run throughout the whole marathon. And then post marathon, you have to be prepared to release it. You have to have all your ducks in a row legally. have everything all set up on the platforms, the scheduled and all of that. So it's a lot. It's a lot. And for one way to not be overwhelmed is to plan things out. Planning is very important. And the first thing before you plan is you got to lock down those socials. Lock down the socials, lock down the name. All right. After you lock that down, you lock down the Gmail. Another thing you have to do is you have to be vulnerable and you have to go out there. You have to do interviews. No one knows who you are. No one knows who you are. And you have to get out there as much as possible. And I see a lot of posts on TikTok where there's a lot of people saying that they're an artist, but they didn't sign up to be content creators. But now the artists, even the major artists, it doesn't look like they're content creators. That's just because they have so much money backing them that's creating storylines around them. Now, because you don't have that, you have to create the storyline yourself, around your story. If you don't know about rigging your story and branding yourself, check the last episode. Okay, check the last episode. Talk in detail about building your story, building a framework around it. And these storylines, if you notice, all right, so every time you're on your social media, you're on Instagram, you're on Facebook, you're on TikTok, and you're just scrolling through and you're seeing regular stuff. And then there's an artist that you haven't seen in a long time. And then all of a sudden, magically, he's popping up on your feed. And you're like, I haven't checked this guy in forever, this girl in forever. And all of a sudden, she pops up. You get a little post. And then a couple days later, you see some story about, that same artist that you just saw. Yeah, they're breaking up with their girlfriend, or they're breaking up with the boyfriend. They're breaking up, and there was a fight. And then you see another post. Here's the clip of the fight. Here's the audio of the fight. And guess what? There's an album coming out a week later. That's a rollout. That's all strategic. That's all planned. That's a rollout. And now you can see the signs when you start working on your own projects and you start setting things up. You don't have PR to be putting out fake stories like this, but you're going to see it coming. You're going to see that magically these people are popping up on your feed. And then that's because the reason why they don't have to be content creators is because they have this PR to spin these stories and put it out there. All they need to do is take a random picture of them and put a storyline out there, and then put some fuzzy audio out there, and then release a single. Then it's just to get into the algorithm. They do these things just to get into the algorithm because they know negativity is stronger than positivity, unfortunately. So when a negative story goes out, people click on it more. It's just sad to say, but that's why when that's the case, when you're putting out YouTube videos and you're putting positive stories about, hey, a rapper gave out for Thanksgiving, he gave this out, and you get 100 views, and then you put, a rapper got shot, and then you get 5,000, 10,000, 100,000 views, then all of a sudden you try to go back to the clean cut stories, but you're not getting any views and any traction, and you're like, I'm gonna try to be the positive light in this. That's gonna be my angle, and then slowly but surely you start drifting away, and it's because of that. Now that's what happens when you're in a major. When you're independent, you don't have that. You don't have that pressure because you're independent. If you put out an album and you sell 10 albums, hey, that's 10 albums more than you did last time. You did that on your own, and that's something to applaud. That's why I am so grateful for the 30 people that downloaded the last episode. Even though it's free, I still appreciate it because people don't have to do that. People don't have to take up space on their phone, on their tablet to listen to this podcast, but they do. They did, and they will, and I appreciate it. So this is the same thing with your music and your content. Now, I've been doing a lot of posts on TikTok and social media, and I've been talking about music. I want to switch over to the podcast lane and talk a little bit to podcasters. Now, I just started with podcasting, but I have had a few podcasts before in the past. One of them was related to give you a little detail about myself. I still have a day job, and my last podcast was about pest control, which is what I do. And pest control, it was a very successful podcast. The reason why it was successful was because, number one, is a targeted audience. So the podcast was targeted to exterminators, because you're not going to have a random person, one of our customers, not going to listen to a podcast about bugs, but an exterminator is going to listen to stories about crazy customers that they've had, that I've had, crazy stories about that, hoarders, all of that stuff. And then you have a very niche targeted audience. Now, when you create your podcast, or for you musicians too, when you create your music, you need to find out your target audience. You need to see who's similar to you. And so, like, if you're a podcast and you're talking about horror stories, you got to find out what podcasts are out there about horror stories, what authors are putting out books about horror stories, everything horror related. You got to do all your research on all things horror related, and then you have to blast it to all of those things. And how do you do that? You get the right. You find those hashtags that everybody's using. You go find those posts. Look at the hashtags that everybody's using. Study the aesthetics of the posts. So look at the videos. Look at the colors they use. Look at how long the video is. So you're a podcaster. You're not a social media person, but this is stuff you have to do. You have to try to mimic that with your own twist to then get your own fan base. Because by just putting the podcast up, even if you put the right keywords, do the right SEO, it's not guaranteed that you're going to get a ton of listens, not going to get a ton of views. Okay. So that is very, very important. So with my podcast, there was no SEA. No SEO. There was no backlinks, none of that stuff to get people to come to the page. The way I did it was I went through Facebook groups. Pest control related Facebook groups. Went to exterminators, former exterminators, and I just asked the question, what podcast do you guys listen to on the road? And then I would log into another account, go into those groups, and respond with 5 podcasts, and I would include mine. When I included mine, people saw and they want to see, like, oh, I've heard of these 4, but I've never heard of this one. And then they clicked, and then they went and looked up mine, and then I got a whole bunch of listens, and all of a sudden I had thousands of people listening to me every episode. And that's just how it went. Now, it's easier because it's targeted. It's a targeted niche. It's people on the road that it's easier to target, is what I'm saying. Like, if you want to get truck drivers, that's a real tight community, very niche. And these people are on the road. They need things to listen to. They're not going to listen to the same 10 songs, meaning not the streaming platform, the radio. They're not going to listen to radio all day. And, that they get tired. You get tired of driving all day and listening to the same stuff. Podcast, it has its ups and downs. It has its flows. It's kind of like listening to a TV show. So that's one thing. That's one way that I got views. Now, for your podcast, a person is doing a podcast about horror, a person about suspense, talking about books, reviewing books, person reviewing music videos, talking about editing. That's a little hard. Editing is a little hard because you're just talking about the equipment and the software. That's a little hard because there's no video aspect to it, but it's also a niche. It's something you can target. With music, you just got to play your song and just ask people, who does this sound like? And then when they tell you who it sounds like, you go find that person. Go find the person that they say it sounds like and study their pages. I wouldn't just do one person. I would do 10, 15, 20 artists and say, okay, your music sounds like these 20 people. I would target people in different states too. So I would go to Facebook groups, join Facebook groups in different states for my type of music. So like my genre be hip hop, metal, would be pop. You look for that. You look for those groups in those cities, those states, those towns. Pick towns everywhere. Is your music going to be listened to everywhere? So you have to find different ears, and then you ask that same question to everybody in the groups, and you ask them, "Hey, who does this sound like?" And some people are going to figure it out. They're going to be like, "Oh, you just want us to listen to your song." No. You can always tell them the truth. You can say, "Hey, who do I sound like? This is my music." People are a little bit more vocal and blunt when they know that it's not you. When they know that it's you, they kind of don't want to insult you. Some people don't. Some people still will, but a lot of people won't want to insult you, and they won't want to tell you the truth. They're not. You don't need people telling you that the sound needs to get better. You're not looking for that. What you're looking for right now, what you're looking for is your target audience, and that is people that listen to similar music that you make in different states. So that's what you're looking for. The sound and all that stuff, that's very important, and you need to have that locked down before you release anything, okay? So when you're recording once, every day or once a week, and you're recording all these songs and you're preparing them for your rollout, Remember to mix and master these songs, mix and EQ these songs. Now, Lander is not a plug for Lander. I've never used it, but Lander has an AI mixing program there that they mix your music. All right, and they can mix it down, and it'll tune up the sound. And I think you can write to the AI, on certain things that you want fixed. There's another thing where you can put it on Suno. So Suno makes beats, and it also does vocals, and it can tune up your vocals. So you just tell them that you don't want it to change. You can Google the prompt, check the prompt on Reddit, just search it on Reddit, and it'll pop up. And there's always people there that give you the exact prompt that you can just copy and paste and tune it up to your way, and it'll adjust your Suno to clean up your voice and fix it. Now Suno, it's AI generated. So AI generated sounds, it has a thinness to it. It's not as thick. The sound is not as thick, and you can kind of tell sometimes that is AI generated. Now you record it yourself. It's not being AI generated, so it's just something to consider. Another thing you can do is you can find a producer on TikTok. There are tons of them that are making videos and want to hear music, and ask them to do it. Now you have to make sure that they're real producers. Some of these guys are on there and they're not real producers. What they're doing is they'll take your music, charge you, and then they'll run it through Lander and then send it right back to you. So you have to consider that. So get the sound right. Get the sound right. Now, in this episode, I taught you how to lock down your socials, trick on how to get people to listen to your music, and they'll listen to your music, and you'll get feedback, and you'll know how to target people. You'll get the artists. Once you figure out the artists that you sound like, and you have the list of artists, you have the list of 10, 15, 20 artists that sound like you got to go through their pages. Go through their pages on each platform. Notice the differences. Because remember, each platform targets a different demographic of people. Facebook is older. Facebook is people that read more. Instagram is images. TikTok is video, audio, is sensors moving. Internal sensors. I mean, is constant movement in TikTok. Camera going forward, backwards. There's a lot of movement. It's attracting the youth. Then when you're in Instagram, that's more like models and stuff. It's more like touched up pictures and stuff like that. A lot of filters. And then you go over to Snapchat, kind of filtery videos. It depends, up and down over there. Younger, middle aged people. It depends. They're all over there. But look at the differences on each platform. Look at how they post on each platform, and then take what you like, and then build on that and start making your platform. Remember, before you put yourself out there, remember, lock down the names. You don't want somebody to take the name from you. That's very important. I'm always harping on that. I'm mentioning that all the time because I started a clothing brand years ago, and I locked down the Instagram name. And Instagram and Facebook is together. So I went I created a Facebook account, created an Instagram account, created an X account, and then I never went to the other platforms, and they were taken. And it was people that they weren't even using the account. So you go to the page, you find that it's already taken. They haven't posted in 2 years, and you can't do anything about it. You can contact them. They won't message you back. And then one person wanted money. They wanted $150. I wasn't going to give that. I haven't made $1. I haven't made anything. I still had to order stuff from China to get the clothes. And that was a huge mess right there. I'm going to make videos on that on the TikTok and let you know how I lost a ton of money on ordering samples in China. But yeah, so that's another thing. Thanks for listening. Cut this podcast here now. But yeah, try to do those things. This is not a marathon. This is this race. You got to take your time, okay? And another thing that happens, I'm going to say this a lot in my episodes too, is when you start getting motion right now, if you're early on and you're putting things out there and nobody's listening to you, right? And you're asking people to listen to you. And then you finally start to get some motion. You start getting views. You start getting into the groove of things. And then things pop up. And I'm just letting you know, push through it. Okay? Push through it. Stay focused. Because for some reason, when you start doing things, when you start getting your stuff together and you start getting focused, it's like the world knows, and then stuff starts coming at you. People start coming at you. People start offering things. It's like you're on a diet. And then all of a sudden, people are inviting you to a barbecue, and you tell them you're on a diet, and they keep pushing food down your throat. and you're like, no, I don't want food. I'm on a diet. I'm not eating that right now. And they want to keep pushing that food down your throat. That happens. That is known to happen. That as soon as you start making moves and start you having shows, people all of a sudden reaching out. And don't get discouraged if your friends and family don't listen to your music, don't listen to your podcast, don't watch your shows. They are not your target audience. Just don't take it personal. It's hard, I know, but don't take it personal. Just put it out there. When you blow up, at least you got something to tell them. Be like, hey, I remember you ain't listened to my show. You weren't one of those people motivating me. You weren't one of those people checking out. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to hold that negative energy inside, but hey, you're not gonna let it slide either when you blow up, right? So stay focused so you can do that. So you can show it to them. All right. Stay focused out there. Thank you for listening. Check out the Fattz Media website. It's almost done. Fattz Media website is almost done. The video content goes up there automatically. Every time I create a podcast and I upload the podcast, it goes up to the site, goes up to all the streaming platforms. I don't know how you're listening to on Spotify, Apple Music, or what, but it goes up to all the it goes up to all the streaming platforms, but it also goes up to the site, the fattsmedia.com. And then all the videos, all the YouTube videos goes up there. We have a blog with a lot of tips to help independent artists. It's going to be updated every day. It has, we believe we have 4 or 5 posts up right now on the blog section. And also, there's a link to download the Nario app, the streaming platform for independent artists that we're building right now. And I appreciate everyone that has checked out the streaming platform, the Nario. So far on Nario, we have, I believe it's 34 users. A few accounts are mine. So there's 3 accounts are mine and 1 account is the developers. So we have over 30 users, legitimate users. We have 5 artists that have their music up there. We have a podcast up there, the Fattz Media podcast, and we have the Pest Control podcast is up there. We want more podcasts up there. We have videos up there from different people. You can check it out. So I does this TV's on there. The Ballsy podcast is up there on video form. There's video content for Fattz Media up there. So there's tons of stuff for you to check out. All right. Thanks for listening to the podcast. Go ahead and check it out. Appreciate you.